Everyone, Brybone here, back with another video, and today we're going to finish out our series on setting up a multi-factor phishing infrastructure. We're going to set up EvilGoPhish on a clean Ubuntu machine. So I have Ubuntu 22 here. We're going to set up EvilGoPhish, which EvilGoPhish consists of EvilGigs 2 and GoPhish, and also an Apache front end to proxy the traffic to the correct parts of the infrastructure. So when you hit Apache on 443, it's then redirected to EvilGigs' port if you click on the lure. Otherwise, you would be redirected to other ports or redirected to another site, right? And you can tell it whatever you want it to redirect to. So to do this, though, we need to prep this machine. So there's a couple things we need to do before we start the installation. And the first thing we need to do is we need to fix a problem with Network Manager that by default, it uses a proxy for DNS. So if we take a look at our machine here and I do netstat-nltp and I grep for port 53, notice we're going to see systemd resolver listening on port 53. Well, we need EvilGigs 2 to listen on port 53. So we have to make a couple of changes to the way that the systemd resolver works. First thing we want to do is we want to stop this service and verify that this port is no longer in use. And if you have an Ubuntu system that is not a clean system and you're doing this, you also want to make sure that that is not in use by any other programs and shut those off. So we've now stopped that, and if we do our netstat, you can see no more port 53. Now that's TCP, so you want to take a look at UDP as well, or you can just look at all of it. Notice there's no port 53, there's only 5353 now. So we're good from a resolution perspective locally, but we just broke DNS resolution on our box. So we now have to fix that. So the first thing we want to do is we want to remove the symlink that's created to the resolve.conf in the etc file, so in the etc folder. So if we go into etc, in here, you're going to see a resolve.conf file. That is a symlink. That's not a real file. So what that does is link over to the system resolver. It does not link, it is not the default resolve config that Linux uses. So we're simply going to remove that. So we're going to remove resolve.conf. And then we're going to make sure that's gone. That is gone. Now, to get resolution working again, we now have to create a resolve.conf. So we'll go resolve.conf here. And then we're simply going to put in name server. We'll do like 1.1.1.1. And then we'll do it again, just to have a redundant name server. 1.0.0.1. Those are the Cloudflare IPs. You can use 8.8.8.8 if you prefer for Google, or whatever you prefer. And now when we look, we should have resolve.conf, which we do, and we should be able to do nslookup for google.com and get a reply, which we just did. So we broke resolution, now we fixed it, but we need to fix it permanently now. And to fix it permanently, we have to edit the network manager conf file in etc network manager, networkmanager.conf. So we'll just throw in nano here. Paste this in. It is etc network manager, networkmanager.conf, just like that. And then in the main section here, we need to use the term DNS equals default. And then what this does is tell Network Manager to not do that proxy setup, right? So next time Network Manager does its thing, it's going to use the default DNS, which is our resolve.conf file that we've created here. So now that we've done that, we should be in a good place to move to the next thing we need to do. The next thing we need to do is install Golang. So EvilGoPhish and EvilGigs 2 both use Go. Go is a portable style language, very common now. But by default, you can't just do apt install and get the right version that we need for this. So we're going to do a wget and we're going to download the version of Go that we need, which is going to be at the time of this video, it's going to be 1.19.5. So we will let's go back into our home directory here, just to make sure we're not dropping weird things in weird places. And we're going to then do wget hdbs go dev dl go 1.9.5, and this is the Linux tar, and we'll need that. So that is downloading. And then you can see now we have the tar file in our home directory. So we want to sudo this out. We want to tar this out to a known location. And in this case, we're going to use user.local. And then we have to create an environment variable to let the system know that you can look for Go here. All right, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to tar this out to user local. And then we'll see this extract, and it's extracting the Go package to user.local. This may take just a minute here, as it's fairly big. It's a whole programming language. And then our final step is we're going to create an environment variable for our path that puts user local go bin in our path. So we'll just simply do an export path user local go bin. And now when we type Go, we should get Go, and that's what we need. So now that we have Go installed and we have our resolver, we can start the process of installing EvilGinx 2. So we want to go to cd opt, and we're going to install EvilGinx 2 here. So we need to git clone this down. So we're going to do this command, and I'll paste that in, but we'll take a look at the repo before. So if you, oh, it's not up here, we'll just search it real fast. This is the repo for EvilGoPhish. If you need the URL, it will be here. This is what I just put in. But this is what we're going to be installing, and it's a combination of EvilGoPhish and GoPhish and EvilGinx 2. Feel free to read any of this. This is a pretty intense setup compared to a lot, but we will walk you through the basics, and then you'll be only responsible for setting up your phishing campaigns and making sure your URLs are here. This has a lot of information on exactly how to do that once you get your campaigns running. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll clone down our EvilGoPhish into opt. And in just a second here, we should have opt EvilGoPhish going. Here we go. Now, if your system doesn't have git, you can do sudo apt install git. Some by default do not have that. So now that we've got Go, we've got it down here in git, we can simply cd into EvilGinx or EvilGoPhish. And in here, you're going to see several different directories. You're going to see EvilFeed, EvilGinx 2, GoPhish, and images. The first thing we need to do is the setup.sh. So we're going to go /dot setup.sh. This is going to walk us through the setup for Apache and the proxying and the certificate grant. So we're going to get a valid certificate from Let's Encrypt via this process. So we'll go ahead and see when you do setup.sh, it prompts you for what you need to put in here. Pay attention to this. This is your redirect URL. This is the Booleans for your redirect. This is your domain. If this is set to true, it will use the user ID, and this is the redirect. You can read all of these different settings and what they do, right? Be careful with your setup here. Now, when you go to use EvilGoPhish again, you can just do replace rid.sh, and it will replace whatever you were looking for in that campaign with another variable. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to do this setup for the domain that we set up in the previous video. We talked about the Cheshire-it.com domain, which is one I already own, which I'm using for this setup. And we'll paste that in. So I have setup.sh, my domain, Cheshire-it.com, and I have accounts, and then GoPhish, and then I have false for the redirect there, and then HTTPS Microsoft.com, true, that's redirecting to Microsoft.com. And then user ID is what I'm going to be varying up, right? I can change this to any GoPhish field, and then I have a final false there. So we'll let setup go, and it's going to go out and get a whole bunch of stuff for our operating system, all of the packages that it needs for this setup. Now this may take it a minute. And you can see it's installing Apache 2 and all of the proxy utilities, and it's going to set everything up for us. And like I said, this takes a minute. But eventually we're going to get to the step where we need to use Certbot to get us Let's Encrypt certificate. Now, you will need to edit your DNS records for this. Where it uses a tool called acme.sh that is a Let's Encrypt engine. It essentially goes out and gets a certificate for you by putting a few variables in your DNS. It can do it automatically on certain services, but we're going to do it manually in this particular case, and that'll be the next step here. Okay, so now it says installed Go from source, run the command below to generate Let's Encrypt certificates. We'll need to create 2 DNS text records, and that is correct. Now, this is what you need to be careful of. Let's Encrypt is the older version. Certbot is the version on most systems. So what you want to do is you want to grab this command all the way up to Certbot, like that. And you need to do this from another window or a tmux session, something where you can run this command and then paste back in the directory for your certificates. So go ahead and we'll paste this in. And it's going to run acme.shell. And in this case, I don't want to give it my email address. Account registered, requesting certificate for star.cheshire-it.com and cheshire-it.com. Now you need to put in a text record into your DNS with this value. So Acme challenge. Now, if I go over here into my records that I have for this domain for Cloudflare, I literally can just paste this value in and hit save. Now, realize there's a time frame here that your DNS has to use to refresh, right? It's usually around 5 minutes. So you can use Dig or Google Dig here, Google Admin Toolbox Dig, to look up the record for your DNS. And when you see it change, notice the 7Y is now in there and the UK is not yet. Actually, it is. Here it is. UK is in there. So that means we're good to continue to the next step. And then it's going to give us another value, right? We have to add another Acme challenge to our DNS, just like that. Go back into our DNS record here. I have another Acme challenge down here. I'll hit edit, paste this value in, and then we'll save that. We'll hit our dig one more time. Sometimes this does not show. Usually it's pretty quick, but it refreshes in 4 minutes. I'm not going to wait that long. I'm sure we have the value in there if it's looking it up. So we'll go ahead and hit enter to continue here. And there it goes. It gave us our fullchain.pem and our privkey.pem. So these are the certificates. Now, this is the directory where the keys are saved. So we need to put that into our EvilGoPhish setup here, because this is the path to our certificates. Go ahead and hit enter. And it's configuring Apache. It's downloading WebSocket. And it's going to do its thing now. Okay, it is setting up live feed. And then here we go. It's now downloading all the pieces that it needs to finish up. This can take just a minute. If it takes too long, I'll pause the video and we'll restart. Typically, this is pretty fast. The reason this takes so long is it's actually doing a build of the different applications with the Go programming language. So it's actually building the executables for Linux at the time it's doing this setup. So it can take a little bit to do through those builds. And looks like we're getting towards the end of it. And there we go. Configure GoPhish, configuring EvilGinx 2 now. There we go. It's building out EvilGinx 2. And there we go. It's now completed. Now it says it is recommended to run all servers inside a tmux session to avoid losing them over SSH. If you only have access to the system via SSH, you should use tmux. Tmux will let you create multiple command windows and run the different pieces of EvilGoPhish in each different command window, right? This is not one program. You need to run GoPhish, you need to run EvilGinx 2, and then Apache proxies all of that into those systems as needed. So if you have direct access like this, where you're actually accessing the GUI, you don't need that. But if you're accessing via secure shell, use tmux for your different windowing. Also accessing the GoPhish browser, you may have to change the port if you don't have direct access, because by default it only listens on HomeNet. So let's go ahead now and we'll start our GoPhish server. But let's take a look, make sure everything compiles. So we'll go into cd GoPhish. And we do see the GoPhish executable. I'm going to take a look at EvilGinx 2. cd EvilGinx 2. Make sure we have a binary in there. We do. And then we also should have a binary for EvilFeed. And we do. So we have the green binaries in each one. If you don't have Go installed or you have a problem with Go, it will not do the compile for you here, right? So you won't have these binaries. So you need to check this. But let's start. We will start with GoPhish. So now we go into GoPhish. And we're going to start with just doing /.gophish./GoPhish. And this is going to run it. And what you need to pay attention to here is the username and the password, because this is your default password for your first login. So if we copy this out and then we'll just choose open link, it should open up Firefox for us. And we're going to get a certificate error because the certificate that is in here is for the domain that we set. So we'll wait on it to open Firefox browser. I'm not sure why that's taking so long. There we go. And it's going to give us a security warning. We want to choose advanced and accept the risk and continue. And then we get our GoPhish, EvilGoPhish sign in. So we type in admin, that is our default username. And then we put in the password that it gave us. It's going to force us to reset our password. You can save it, you can create one. We'll just use this securely generated one. That go. And there we go. We now have our EvilGoPhish or GoPhish dashboard. So this is where you would begin creating your campaigns, and you would hook into Sendgrid. You would need to create an email sending profile that uses the API key that we created in the previous video as the password for your sending profile, and then sends to Sendgrid. So you can look that documentation up, quite easy to set up yourself. Okay, so we have GoPhish running. Now we need to have another window or a tmux session where we can run EvilGinx 2. So now we need to go cd into opt EvilGoPhish EvilGinx 2. And then we can run EvilGinx 2. and we need to provide the full path to the GoPhish DB, right? And in this case, the way I've set this up, it is literally this. So if you expand this into opt, it'll be opt EvilGoPhish, GoPhish, GoPhish DB. We'll just paste that in there. And we have a running system. Now it says failed to start name server on port 53. So this is due to the problems we were having earlier with the resolve config. So let's see if we have a resolution issue. So we'll do netstat dash NLTP grep 53. And we can see that this is running, system resolve D is running on port 53. So if system resolve D is running, that's a problem. We need to stop that service. We'll stop that service. And now that's stopped. We'll test our name resolution. And there you go. We know it's resolving even though that service is stopped now. And we should be able to run EvilGoPhish and it shouldn't give us errors. There we go. So now we're good. It's not complaining. We just need to set the server domain and server IP. You can do config domain and config IP once you're in here to set your domain and your IP. Then you set your lures, and Apache should proxy this for your lures. And that is basically the setup for EvilGinx or EvilGoPhish, including EvilGinx 2 and our GoPhish setup. The next step in this is just simply creating a campaign and starting a lure. Now, some of the default lures in here are really nice when you use EvilGoPhish. You have the 0365-2 lure, which is an edited one. There's also a Cisco VPN lure. These are really good lures. They look real. They behave just like the web pages for these would normally. So they're good targets for your spear phishing campaigns. Otherwise, this will be the last video in the series. The first video I did showing EvilGinx 2 and how it works explains basically the phishing campaign. I show you the launch of a campaign, I show you the lure, and I show you the interception of a Office 365 account. This is the backend that would have gone into all of that. You can use this to set up your spear phishing campaigns and make sure that you are able to capture multi-factor credentials on your next engagement. And that's it. Thank you once again. Keep watching these videos. I'll keep making them. And I'll leave you with Hack the Planet to defend better. Thanks.